Hi guys, it's Hinda and welcome to Cooking Fantasies. In today's video, we're going to be making this delicious strawberry tart. We will start by preparing the crust, which we will fill with a delicious vanilla custard cream. We're going to top it with a lot of fresh strawberries, and then we're going to glaze everything to preserve all the freshness and the flavors. And of course, I will be showing you how to arrange your strawberries into this beautiful rose shape. If you are new to my channel, I post cooking videos almost each week, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button and let's get baking. And we're gonna start by preparing the crust, which you can even make one day ahead and leave it overnight in the fridge. And for this, you're gonna need 200 grams of flour, 90 grams powdered sugar, 100 grams butter, 1 egg, 25 grams almond meal, and a pinch of salt. Of course, all the ingredients you're gonna find down in the description box with both grams and cups measurements. And let's get baking. First thing, we're gonna sift together the flour, the powdered sugar, and the almond meal. Then add in the butter that should be cold right out of the fridge and cut into small cubes. And then use just the tips of your fingers to kind of work the butter into the dry ingredients. And what we're looking for here is a kind of wet sand texture. You don't want to use the palms of your hands because you don't want the butter to melt. And once all the butter is well incorporated with all the dry ingredients, add the pinch of salt to the egg, beat it slightly using a fork, then make a well in the center of your preparation, pour in the egg and work it again with your hands. Once the dough stops sticking to your hand, transfer it into a working surface and start kneading it using all your hands this time. So go ahead and, like I said, use the palms this time. What you can do is push the sides together, put some pressure on the center, and keep repeating in a kind of kneading the dough until you end up with a nice homogenic dough ball. If you find it too sticky, better not to add flour. Instead, you can place it in the fridge for about 30 seconds to 1 minute and then keep kneading until it comes together. Then wrap it with some food-safe plastic and place it in the fridge for at least half an hour for up to 1 night. When you take the dough out of the fridge, you will notice that it's hardened because of the butter it contains, so it's much easier to work with. But if you still need, you can add always some flour to dust your working surface to make it even easier to work with, and then use a rolling pin to roll it into a big circle. The circle, of course, should be just a little bit bigger than the diameter of your baking tin. To easily transfer the crust, you can roll it around your rolling pin using some flour to prevent it from sticking together, and then unroll it on your baking tin. If your kitchen is too hot or the weather is just too warm, you can place it in the fridge for 30 seconds and then it will be easier to unroll it. Then use your fingers to push the sides and the corners against the baking tray to make sure that it takes the nice motifs and shape of the baking tray. Finally, use a knife to trim all the excess dough. If you are using a metal baking tin, you can do this with your rolling pin. It will cut off and trim all the dough nicely and easily. And again, place your dough in the fridge for at least half an hour. And now let's prepare our delicious vanilla custard cream, for which we're gonna need 3 egg yolks, 70 grams sugar, 380 grams milk. We're gonna need 1 big tablespoon vanilla infused sugar, 40 grams butter, 45 grams cornstarch, and about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We're gonna start by simmering the milk with the vanilla. Here I prefer to add the vanilla extract to the milk before I simmer it because I think it enhances the flavor. Meanwhile, we will prepare the rest of the ingredients. So add the sugar to the egg yolks with the vanilla infused sugar. If you don't want to use vanilla infused sugar, you don't have to. You can use just the vanilla extract, it's enough. And then whisk everything together before you add in the cornstarch, and keep whisking until you have everything well combined. Once the milk simmers and starts making bubble, we're going to add it to the mixture on 3 goes while continuously whisking. Then pour everything back into the saucepan and bring it back to your stove. And keep whisking continuously on a medium to low heat until the cream thickens. Must be careful, as this is a small quantity, it will thicken quite quickly, and then remove it from the heat and make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom. Then remove it from the heat and transfer it into a new clean bowl. You don't want to use the bowl you used before because you don't want to have raw eggs in your cream. Immediately add the butter and keep stirring until it is totally combined with the cream. Then finally cover it with some plastic wrap. Make sure that it is touching the cream so that it doesn't make a crust on the top, and then allow it to totally cool before we use it. Now back to the crust after it had enough time to sit for at least half an hour, like I said, in the fridge. Now use a fork to make holes all over the bottom, and then we're gonna cover it with some parchment paper and add some baking weights. Pie weights or baking weights are used to prevent the crust from rising while baking. If you don't have them, you can use dried beans, or like me, I use dry rice that you can use all the time for baking. Just make sure that it doesn't have any contact with the crust itself, otherwise you will end up with a crust filled with rice. Then bake it for about 15 minutes in 180 degrees Celsius preheated oven. That's 356 degrees Fahrenheit, and it should be golden brown from the sides when you take it out. Now it's time to prepare the strawberries. We're going to need about 500 grams that you will thoroughly wash and dry before you remove the stem, and cut them into 3 pieces, 1 middle one and 2 on the sides as seen in the video. Now that all the elements are ready, we're going to start assembling the tart. When the cream cools, it tends to be hard, so you're going to have to beat it to give it its creaminess once again. And then I'm going to place it on a piping bag. Of course, you can skip this if you don't want to use a piping bag, but it does help you to spread the cream nice and even on the crust. And then use the back of a spoon to smoothen the surface before we place our strawberries. To assemble strawberries in a nice rose shape, we're going to start by first placing the halves of the strawberries around the borders in one direction. And then we're going to place the middle parts we have cut off the strawberries between the two halves in the opposite direction. And then again, we're going to do the same thing we did in the first time. We're going to place the halves in one direction, which is opposite to the last circle we made. And then finally in the center, we're going to place the middle part of the strawberries upwards to form kind of petals. To glaze the tart, I'm going to use some strawberry flavored jelly. Just prepare it according to the instructions on the package and pour it over the strawberries while it's still hot. And make sure to cover all the strawberries with the glazing. Glazing doesn't only add to the flavor, but it does preserve the strawberries so they stay fresh longer, and it also preserves or seals in all the flavors. And then allow it to set in the fridge for about 1 hour before you enjoy it, and it's always better to make the tart the same day you want to eat it. Of course, you can still enjoy the tart the next days, or make it 1 day before. The flavors will still stay the same, the cream stays creamy. The only thing is that the crust tends to be less crunchy. This is a very delicious tart. The crunchiness of the crust and the creaminess, the vanilla custard, the fresh strawberries, everything marries so nice together. It's so refreshing and delicious. I hope you will be trying out this recipe very soon. I'm sure you will also love it. I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more recipes, and see you soon. Happy baking!